So I'll now show you how to add a weighted column to the gradebook or to calculate a weighted column that's already there. It is in there as a default and needs to be configured. Um, and then, can be shown to students. And you may have deleted it and want to add one back in though. And to do so, you want to go to create calculated column and then weighted column. And sometimes you can also have more than one weighted column in a course, depending on how many sets of items you're grading. You may want to weight all of the items together and then add that to the final grade weight. But we'll just talk about a simple weighted column right now. So if I go to add a weighted column here, normally they're just called weighted total. I can add a grade center name, but I don't need to. I can add a description, but that's not necessary either. The default that shows up is showing the weighted total as a percentage, which is great. You can also consider maybe changing it to a letter grade or a score if it's out of 100. But percentage, is usually a good choice. And then for secondary display, you could select something if you want to maybe select a letter grade for this. Then here is where you really set up the weighted grade column. So these are all the columns that you have in the Grade Center that are able to be selected for the weighted column. And then these are categories. So you may have added all of your columns to categories, and you might want to just select categories specifically. So let's say none of the journals are graded, but or contributing to the final summative grade for the course. But you do want to have the assignments and the discussions be part of the final total grade. So you could select those and just move those over here. So this is what you have to select. This is what has been selected and will be a part of the weighted total. And you use just these little gray arrows to move the items over. So here, let's say I want to just select, knowledge check. So I'm going to just move anything I see that says knowledge check over. So let's just pick, 5 of them. And, for instance, I might want each of these knowledge checks, to be worth 10%. So I'm going to put those in. And this is helpful when, for instance, I don't have an equal number of questions in the knowledge checks. And, so all of the points are going to be different in them. You'll see here, though, that I only have, you have to, by the way, you have to not still have your cursor in here to see the total weight. So I have to click outside of there for the total weight to fully calculate. It's only adding up to 50%. So if this is all I'm grading for a student for their final grade for the course, I want this to equal 100%. So I'll go back and just change that to 20% for each of these. And then we'll get to 100. And then again, I have to click out of it to see the actual total weight. I'm going to scroll down here. This button is interesting because if you have a weighted column and you want to calculate it as a running total, this allows students to always see what their current final grade is in the course, which can be really helpful because, even though they have not completed, XYZ assignments, they still know what their overall grade is. So I generally would recommend keeping this as the default, which is yes. And then you want to include the column in Grade Center calculations, which is again the default, and have students be able to see it. And generally, the statistics of the full class average and median are not included. So that's really all you have to do to set up a weighted column. And it's a really easy way to not have to manually calculate grades for your class, and also to double check if you do manually calculate grades that you have this weighted column in there, which can double check what the percentage is. And again, it provides a lot of transparency to students who may not know how to calculate their overall grade in a class, that this column is there that is automatically telling them what their overall grade is as they proceed through the term. So here I can just, click submit, and then it shows up in your grade center.